Items I'm bringing. GoPro, in case I want to do some filming. Novel I just started recently. Sketchbook and some art supplies, of course. Grief recovery method, so I can work on some grief, and a notebook for writing about that. Another book I've been reading on Buddhism. My journal, of course. I'll bring my iPad in case I decide to do any longer form writing, and the necessary chargers.
Why don't you bring it with you just in case?
That's the shower. I might not shower for a few days. Hello friends, I am coming to you from this gorgeous little forest dome where I have been staying for the past 2 nights. I'll give you a proper tour, of course. And I came out here with the specific intention of being alone and being in solitude. And that means no Wi-Fi. I turned my phone off so that I wasn't tempted to be in communication with people, and I didn't want to be engaging in social media or really intaking any media at all, though I did read, so I guess that counts. Anyway, I wanted to gift myself this time alone, and so I booked this beautiful Airbnb that was recommended by a friend so that I could have some time of solitude. And I will state right up front that I recognize that I am in an extremely privileged position to be able to do this. I have, other than my little chihuahua, I have no other living beings that rely on me for their care and survival. And I have the financial means to be able to book a lovely little retreat like this and spend this time away from home. So I recognize that that is a huge place of privilege. And with that, I will say that I do believe having time alone to yourself, completely in solitude, is an incredibly valuable and important experience. And it's something that I highly, highly recommend if you can find a way to do it. And there are creative ways to do it, even if you feel like you have a lot of restrictions. I'm also a huge advocate for traveling solo, but this is different. This is not about traveling. This is more about having time alone where you are not consuming a lot of information, where you aren't interacting with people, and you have time for your own personal reflection with an intended purpose in mind. So for me, I wanted to use this time to work through a grief process. And what I mean by that is, a couple years ago, after my grandmother passed away, I worked with an incredible grief counselor named Agnes. I'll share her information below. And through that process, she gifted me a grief process that I could use for any grief situation in my life. And what I learned from working with her is that our lives are filled with moments of grief, and they come in many forms. Obviously, the death of loved ones is something that creates grief. However, we experience many kinds of loss in our lives. That could be moving to a new place. It could be breakups, divorce, losing our job, just losing things that are important to us in any way results in grief. And our lives are so busy and so full, and they move so quickly that most of the time we don't work through the grief. We don't work through those feelings of loss, and they just kind of build up and pile up inside of us. And working with Agnes really showed me how many significant moments of grief I have had in my life and that I had not appropriately addressed, even through therapy and counseling and whatever other modalities I had engaged in. There wasn't like a specific focus on working through these moments of grief. So with Agnes's help, I worked through a lot of it. However, I noticed over the past couple of years that there's this part of my life that keeps bubbling up in my mind, and old feelings of anger and resentment show up, even though that part of my life is over and it's not relevant to who I am anymore. Yet, obviously, there was still something lingering, and I just wanted to be done with it so that I could feel more completely present in my life now, which is a life that I really love. And so I gifted myself this time alone with the specific intention of working through this grief process. And I knew that I really needed time completely away and to myself to work on this, because if I'm at home, I feel there's a lack of privacy, of course, even if I'm in my own room or whatever it is. And there's just so many distractions. When I'm at home, I am always thinking about what I want to do or need to do or projects or whatever it is. And I just wanted to remove myself completely from all of that. So I came out here into the woods, into this beautiful little dome, and some things that if you decide to engage in a little solo adventure like this, some things that will make it much easier are to make sure you have everything you need in order to disconnect and be by yourself. So that is going to involve communicating to certain people that you are not going to be available. Make sure at least one person knows where you are in case of emergencies. And have everything you need. So make sure you've got enough food. I made sure to prepare some food in advance, so I didn't need to cook. I just needed to heat things up. And, you have your coffee, your tea, all your comfortable clothes, slippers, and blankets. And because I am in a beautiful natural setting, I also made sure I had hiking shoes and coats and, whatever you're going to need to be able to enjoy this time away and not feel like you need to remove yourself to go get things. So that's something that's really helpful. And then also think about what it is that you want to accomplish over this time and space alone. So for me, it was this grief process, and I'm very grateful that I had a particular process to move through. Having time alone is great, but if you just kind of show up with no particular intention, you might flounder a little bit or feel lost or lonely. And that's okay. It's good to confront those feelings. And at the same time, it can be super helpful to know what you're going to do with that time. So I had my grief process with me. And I also brought my sketchbook and my journal And I brought my iPad in case I wanted to do any longer form writing. And then, of course, I brought my camera because I figured I would want to take some footage and probably record a video about the experience. So I did it all, and it was extremely valuable. I knew I didn't want to I only had 2 nights out here, which means only 1 full day, and I did not want to spend the entire time on this grief process. I really wanted to get through it. So having that time limit is also very valuable, because when we feel like we have unending amounts of time, we are much less likely to complete things. So I arrived here in the afternoon on Wednesday, and after I got settled in, I just got straight to it and did the first probably half of the grief process. It's not fun, but it is necessary and enlightening and informative. And then the following morning, after I got up and had something to eat and went for a walk, I then finished the rest of the grief process. So really, by yesterday afternoon, I was done, and I felt very spacious, and as though then I had this expanse of space in front of me where I could do whatever I wanted. So, of course, I spent some time in my sketchbook, and I spent some time writing in my journal and writing on my iPad, and of course lots of time out in nature, walking and exploring. And the other cool thing about giving yourself this time alone is just seeing where your mind goes. Like, there were times I did have books with me, so in the evening I was reading, and then I would just close my book. This dome has a beautiful little laser thingy that projects astral images onto the roof, and I would just lie back and stare at that and let my mind wander with no distractions. You know, it's like we always feel like we need to be doing something, scrolling, reading, watching, whatever it is, but just lying back with your own thoughts. It's the same with when I was eating. I would often sit in this little window seat here with my food and my tea and just look out at the view and just be with my own thoughts. So it's cool to see where your mind goes, but then also see what you gravitate towards without those default kind of distraction mechanisms. And of course, for me, it was drawing, writing, walking, exploring. These are the things that make me happy, and drinking copious amounts of tea. All of these things are available to me all the time. I don't have to take myself on a 2-day retreat out in the forest to enjoy them. And yet I allow myself to be distracted often by other things. So all good reminders. And also another reason why this time alone can be so valuable is to see how it feels to be away from the people and the places that maybe you take a little bit for granted because they're just a normal part of your life. And something that feels very sweet to me is I've spent many years of my adult life living alone, and I really enjoyed that time. And now I live with my partner and our dog, and when I'm away from them, I miss them so much, and I get so excited to be reunited with them. And that's a really wonderful feeling, because I know that we have a very sweet little family with the 3 of us, and it brings me so much joy to be with them. And having that time away can help reinforce that feeling. Okay, let's do the dome tour. So here is the view from the entrance. We'll start in the kitchen. I spend quite a bit of time at this table. This is where I was doing my writing for the grief project and drawing and journaling and some eating, but I actually ate a lot in the window seat. The little kitchenette has everything you need. This is an induction cooktop, little fridge, and cooking pots, pans, that kind of thing under there. Excuse my dish pile, I just washed them. And yeah, I just heated my food up on top of the cooktop and I was good to go. Pretty much constantly was boiling water and kept hot water in my thermos at all times because that's what keeps me warm. And this teapot and I spent a lot of time together. So I'm actually going to put it back together so you can get the full effect. When I walked in, this was sitting over here, just like that, and it was so perfect. Really, with this view, I feel like I'm in a tree house pretty much. This is the bed. Check out that gorgeous headboard. Everything in here was built by people that live on this acreage. The bed was super cozy. The mattress is heated, which is necessary because it gets very, very cold in here. But there is a heater here, which is quite good. Actually, I had that pumping most of the time. This beautiful light is quite magnificent. Should have filmed in the evening so you could have seen what that looked like. And this is that laser guy that lights up the ceiling. I took a little bit of footage of that. This is just kind of storage space. I'm going to the bathroom. Got the heater pumping in here. So check out this incredible countertop. Just a solid piece of wood. Again, everything is handmade. They have a book explaining the making of the dome. This is a composting toilet. It's not a flush toilet. It was pretty impressive, actually. It's just very comfortable, doesn't smell. And you'll notice there is no shower in here, and that is because the shower is outside, which I wasn't sure I was going to use because it is very cold here right now, but it's heated shower, of course, and I had to experience it, so I did yesterday afternoon, and it was pretty amazing. So I'll take you out there now. Okay, heading out to the shower. So they have bathrobes here for the shower. So I put on my bathrobe and my slippers yesterday and ran out. Flip you around. So you come out here. Here's a little fire pit where I burned the letter as part of my grief recovery process. So there's this little staircase, stone steps going up to the shower. And here it is. So it has a gas heater and a rainfall shower, wooden platform, and it's enclosed for privacy, of course. Oops, I left my towel out here. And it has all these cute little twinkle lights. So yeah, it was freezing out here, but the water was hot, and so it was, I don't know, really invigorating, and I'm glad that I did it, and I kind of wish I had done more than just one shower, but that's okay. One was enough. So that's it. This is the beautiful property. There's the dome. And all around here are walking trails, and I encountered some deer while I was out and about. It is just so beautiful and peaceful, and I'm super grateful that I got to experience it. It was really the ideal entry point into a new year. So, like I said, if you can swing it, see if you can give yourself a couple days alone, completely alone. Work through some of that stuff that's built up that you don't really have the time and space to work through otherwise, and just see what comes out on the other side. If you feel like it's just not possible for you to do that, my challenge to you would be to think outside the box. Like, if you have kids that you're caring for or parents that you're caring for, who else do you know in your community in a similar situation? And maybe you can trade with each other, even if it's just for one night, and care for each other's children so that one of you can take that time and then switch. There's all kinds of options. If leaving your home is not an option, then just giving yourself permission to be in your own room for several hours, getting the support you need from your family to be able to do that, that can definitely help. You just want to make sure that you are removing as many distractions as possible. So I hope that gives you some ideas and some inspiration to spend some time with yourself and really see what is lingering inside that is ready to be confronted and removed so that you can be free of it and just move on, be present, enjoy your life.